Nyala ini. Nyala kah? Nyala. Kok nggak bisa ganti ya? Kok nggak muncul? Kok nggak muncul sini? Oke. Si asli. Oke. Oke. Fitur aja ngapa? Bener sih. Ngomong sendiri, jawab sendiri. Sudah terbiasa. Tidak apa. Cahaya boro, ora roh. Apa metu ke kamar ora?
Greetings from Capra. We offer the best services here in this capital city. Greetings from Capra.
Aduh, pukul aku. Goblin nice. Nyapa? Sini nyapa?
It was from this mysterious ancient city that our distinctive culture was born.
Greetings from Capra.
People shine when they're
Itu merek. Enak tukangnya.
Capra. We offer the best services here in this capital city. Greetings from Capra.
Gear modification is my forte.
Greetings from Capra. We offer the best services here in this capital city.
Bisa. Ambil arrow holy. Harusnya satu K ya kan? Ada. Nah, kita ambil. Matukah satu converter? Buat.
Greetings from Capra. We offer the best services here in this capital.
Oke. Aku penasaran skill disbednya ini makan arrow berapa sih? Ini nggak pakai arrow kan? Kayak burung jadinya. Ini pakai arrow ini. Boros sih. Ini aktor sekretannya. Ini ada satu. Mana ini? Di sini aja. Terus pulsa apaan ya? Kayaknya bis. katanya sih tapi nggak tahu. Dapat dari Goblin Gadget sama Oreo. Ini aku habisin sekitar hampir 1 jam lebih ini. Apa hostel national buff drop 1 jam juga dapat satu. Tidak usah ini apaan nih? Ini pakai kita benci leher lo kan bentar. Bedanya ini sama ini apa? Karena juga ada juga ya kalau dekat dimasukin. Plus dapur yang bilang tuh persen ya, kalau itu 1%. Baterai oh ini soket asli dari sini nah nggak tepat. Yang santai aja kali bos, santai aja, santai aja. Oh,
Greetings from Kafra. We'll be at your service no matter how strong the sandstorm blows.
they found and
A
retrieved an
couple
ancient
of
relic,
weeks ago, I did
a
a
salt
tweet
pillar.
about Wrexham.
Through a
and,
dark ritual, what was broken
caused a few comments. Yes, I know I titled the video The Controversial Rise like last week, but just deal with it, okay? On Easter Monday, Wrexham played Notts County in an incredible top of the table clash which could decide the fate of who goes up to the English Football League this season. Prior to kickoff, both clubs were joint on 100 points in the table. Alongside that, also incredibly scored the same amount of goals of 106. To highlight how incredible this is, the team just behind them in third in Woking was on 75 points, 25 points behind second place. And when you ask people about their thoughts on Wrexham and their success, you get different answers depending on who you ask. To some, they may say that Wrexham is a great story, that they are a club steeped in history, that were in quite a lot of problems and may not have been run very well in the past, and have been bought out, fortunately, by really wealthy owners, and they are part of a project that will see them rise up the pyramid and to actually have hope of becoming a competitive football club again. That will help not just the club, but the community. And if you ask other people, they may say something very different. That they may say something
kalau bosnya sih depan banyak
along the lines of Wrexham are almost cheating their way into the Football League, and the media obsession of Wrexham is almost patronising to the rest of the conference and the non-league in general, acting like there's no other team other than Wrexham in the non-league, despite there being teams like Notts County doing just as good, getting only a fraction of the attention. And for many people, the constant barraging from the mainstream press and social media and the mainstream media that is constantly going on about the fact that they are a fairy tale story and they're doing something that is special. When you look at the papers, you look at the money they've been spending and the players that they've been bringing in, it's not a surprise to be seeing them doing as well as they have. And the fact they are being sold as an underdog story is annoying for people. And I can see both sides to this argument. So in today's video, I will go into the controversial rise of Wrexham, and tell me down below in the comments your thoughts on Wrexham. Are you a fan of how they've been doing things? Are you a fan of the story? Do you hate it? Do you think that it is a bad sign of where football could be going to the future? Tell me your thoughts down below in the comments. And also, if you are new, then feel free and smash a like button. It does help massively. Thank you for the insane support. I think the last 7 videos has all hit like 100,000 views, which is mental. So thank you, honestly. And also hit that sub button too. It does help out a lot. And also my own design company, mazzoladesigns.co.uk, link is at the top of the description. The best football art to showcase your favourite iconic moments in football, your favourite goals, to showcase in your bedroom, your office, anywhere. So link is down below. Use code PREM for 10% off. And also shout out to all of the members on the Patreon. These guys give out a helping hand to help support what we do over a decade. survive. That is when, in late 2020, strange whispers of a takeover bid was emerging. Big money takeovers is pretty common for the Premier League. However, in non-league, it is extremely rare. So who wanted Wrexham? The Saudis? Maybe Qatari ownership? Or maybe somewhere else? Maybe Thai ownership? No. In November 2020, Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney bought Wrexham Football Club and received a backing of 98.6% of the 2,000 members of the Wrexham Supporters Trust. This was no joke. They seriously wanted to buy a non-league club from Wales. How it all came about was also quite extravagant, if you didn't know. There is one key man that links all of this, and that is a man called Humphrey Kerr. Humphrey was an actor and moved over to America, taking part in the famous American show It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And his time over there, he had links to many famous people, including Rob McElhenney. As the story goes, Humphrey was a Liverpool fan, and when he watched games at the offices, Rob McElhenney sometimes watched the games with him and actually mocked the sports because he saw it as boring, calling football slow and saying that things just rarely ever happened, unlike high-scoring sports that are over in America like NBA and NFL. Allegedly, they watched Liverpool beat Barcelona and, of course, the famous 4-0 comeback thanks to Divock Origi. Rob caught an interest in football, so Humphrey recommended him the recent popular Netflix show Sunderland Till I Die. And I quote, according to Humphrey, he told me we should do this. We should buy a club and make a documentary. Before I really knew it, the conversation had moved on to who can we buy? Humphrey was dealt with a task to research which club would be the best to actually take over, and it came up with half a dozen football clubs within the Football League or non-league pyramid in England that would be suitable takeovers. And they relied on two key factors: a club with history that needed a lift and had enough fans already to make the business work now or in the future, based on the current attendances and the catchment area of the club. And that is when Wrexham came about. The fact that he was still receiving 4,500 average attendances in the National League was quite astonishing and really showed that they had a strong fan base. Alongside that, they also liked the fact that, as they are actors and Americans, a fairy tale or storyline to go with it, and the fact that they were actually saved by the fans of their own football club would lead to a great storyline, as, again, they're Americans. Wrexham was fantastically supported by the community, and without the supporters, they may not have even existed to this day before the takeover. Of course, if you look at Welsh geography, the majority of Welsh clubs that you may know of, such as, of course, Cardiff, Swansea, even Newport County, they are all right at the bottom of Wales, connected to the M4 motorway. Is Wrexham all the way to the north of Wales, which is just near to the border, which you could connect to Liverpool. But that entire side of the northern part of Wales never had a club to really connect to. That is the reason why Wrexham had such a good following despite being in the non-league pyramid for about a decade. Is that for a large amount of people, about almost 1 million, didn't have anyone else to actually support around them. They had to prove themselves to the supporters of the club that they actually were serious and was not just taking the piss. That is why when they spoke to the supporters trust, this included a promise to put £2 million into the club, build a new training facility, and always beat Chester, their main rivals. The supporters owned the club, so it was entirely their choice on if they were accepted or not. And since they got allowed for the door, things have changed quite dramatically. In their first full season, in the 2021-22 season, Wrexham finished second before losing the playoff semi-final 5-4 to Grimsby Town after extra time. The suffering did not end there, as Wrexham also reached the 2022 FA Trophy final and lost 1-0 to Bromley. The rise of Wrexham from being a mid-table club with maybe some playoff contention to almost being a sure thing to get promoted is not surprising, considering they brought in the likes of Paul Mullin, who, when they signed him, was the League 2 Player of the Year in the league prior. This was due to his exceptional season at Cambridge United, where he scored 32 goals in League 2, the division above where Wrexham was playing in. So to see him smashing the National League, scoring 35 goals in 42 games this year, is again not surprising. Alongside that, signed many decent players from the division above. Usually when you're signing players from the division above you, it is players that are on the cusp, on the fringe, or may not be getting good game time. But in this case, it was very much strong players. Ben Tozzer, who came from Cheltenham Town for £200,000, was a regular in that side. In the previous year, before signing for Wrexham, he played 46 games out of 46 for Cheltenham Town in League 2. James Jones, who played pretty much his entire career in League 2 and League 1, playing in League 1 for Lincoln City, dropped down 2 tiers to play for Wrexham. And for one more example, Aaron Hayden, who played pretty much every single game, 44 out of 46 the previous year for Carlisle United, who was one of the best players, took the step down to the National League 2. The point I'm trying to get across here is the fact that these players are not just fringe players of the leagues above. These are key starters, or even in some cases
Bisa dismantle. Yes, betul. Betulan. Bentar. Tuh sama. Like die. Bentar, itu Sky ya kan? Kan beda. Dapat TVS. Bos. Lima. Start. Udah. Iya. Tadi kan statnya 30%. Oh.
F. Yang ini. Yo, hancurin aja. Wah, jadi attack all the way, my friend. Attack. Lim. Lah, gue banyak. Oh, banyak bukunya. Kabut banget ya, nggak ada. Habis lagi apa? Kali. Berapa
Take a stroll on the streets of Prague.
jam sih? Halo. Hihihi. Enter. Thanks.
The best player in the league in the likes of Paul Mullen. This means that a large core of their team currently are with players that really shouldn't be playing in this level to begin with. And that is just a stark reality. But for the most part, does this really matter? This is when, if you're on the side of do not like Wrexham and what they are doing, then this is where you'd be like, see, obviously this is unfair. Obviously, this could be seen as cheating or whatever you may want to call it. The term bought the league is something that has been thrown around for a long time, and as far back as Blackburn Rovers back in 1995, but in most popular times, Manchester City being bought by Dubai ownership and went on to become the mammoth football club they are now. Thanks to that takeover, and people say that they've bought their league, they've bought their success, and that is something that people use as a bat to hit people with to justify, I don't know at this stage, that maybe the success that you went through is not justified or earned or proper or just. And I think it is more heated and personal when it comes to Wrexham in the National League, because the challenge of getting out of the National League is fierce. You are dealing with impacting the actual health of a club. If a club is in the National League, they are at real risk of ceasing to exist. Money is scarce at this level, so when you do have money in the way and the manner that Wrexham does have money, that makes a big difference. And that one spot that goes to Wrexham for potentially going up, that could mean a team could be going down or missing out, that potentially could be damaging and actually destroying the football club. And with that comes the members of staff that may lose their jobs, and most importantly, the community that may actually miss out on a football club. That is why when you're speaking about Wrexham and why they may be seen as controversial in the way that they've gone up in the pyramid, I get completely why people may not like it. And especially when you are being told by the mainstream media and the press that they are a underdog story and that they are a fairy tale story of a club rising up from the ashes, and when you are in that zone, when you are in the non-league and you're seeing that, and the only thing you are being told about your league is Wrexham, and they are failing to add any highlights or any love to any other teams other than this one club, then I get their frustration completely, especially if you are a Notts County fan now or doing the exact same thing as Wrexham without the same amount of insane financial support that Wrexham has got. So I may have gone into quite a few things of why people will dislike Wrexham, and in my own personal opinion, I am on the side of I don't mind them being bought out, because I want to put this across here. I want to go back to my original tweet that I put at the start of this video. I tweeted this out on March the 25th, just last month, saying the hate for Wrexham I don't get really. We all complain that too many clubs aren't well run by fit and proper owners. Now a club has been fortunate of being ran by ambitious owners that backs it and the community. There's a problem. Do these people want clubs in limbo forever? Maybe the tone that people read it may rub people the wrong way, but my underlying point is the fact that clubs have been ran by awful people for a long time, and we always hear the sob stories and the horror stories of these clubs being ran down to the ground and not being treated in the way that they should. So when we actually see a situation where a club has got ambitious owners, have actually took the community and saying we're going to take you somewhere, which is something that every single fan of every club dreams to happen. It doesn't care where you are in the pyramid, if you're Premier League to League One or the Conference, everyone dreams for big investments, because big investment means money, and money means success in football, and that is just the stark reality of it. Not all the times, there are some exceptions. Leicester City in 2016, they spent nowhere near as much money as the rest of the Premier League, especially not the top six, and they did what they did. They won the Premier League. Another great example is Luton Town. They are in third place of the Championship with nowhere near the resources that any other team there has got in the top level, and never mind that, they came all the way from the National League and it went up through the divisions naturally, in a natural way, without massive investment, with smart ownership, with smart recruitment, with smart strategy, and they've rose up through the divisions in what people would say a just, correct and rightful way. And that is what people would say, that is what they want to see in football. Clubs winning by being smarter than the opponents and outthinking them in long-term or short-term strategy, and that Luton doing things the right way, and see when it were all completely changed of being bots. Maybe the idea of Americanization of football could be annoying people. The fact that the actual story of them buying Wrexham all came from them watching a Netflix documentary of Sunderland Till I Die and thinking, let's do that, which sounds crazy. And it is crazy, and probably goes to show why this is quite a extraordinary story. You may say that, yeah, but think about all the other clubs. Think of Notts County, think of Woking, think of Barnet, think of Dagenham and Redbridge, think of all these teams, and I get that right completely. But the way I see it, football is ran by money, and it will always be ran by money. We are too far gone into this world of money and power, and we can't change it now. And that may sound really sad, but I think almost every single club in the top level of English football or European football, I think they've all got something dodgy. People want to point fingers at the Saudis at Newcastle or Dubai ownership at Man City and say that they're doing things the wrong way, it's dirty money, sports washing, but I'll be honest, I think a lot of clubs are doing things. If they're run by billionaires, they've done something dodgy to get there 90% of the time. So I think most people are doing things dodgy in football nowadays. So it may sound really sad, but that's just how I see football. I think any successful club are around at this stage. Investors overseas, they all want to be involved in the English game. They know the money that is in English football. They can sense it from a mile away. And these people, and this could be a positive thing or a negative thing, that in the positive way of Wrexham, I think Ryan and Rob have done things the best way imaginable. They've made a documentary about their club and increased the reach and the reputation of their club worldwide, and that will always be powerful for them forever. They invested in the club, they invested in the community, they've improved the squad, and they are very, very likely of being a Football League club next year, and you never know, with more money, can actually rise up to League 2. But on the other hand, as we've seen with some clubs, that the owners can be just narcissistic and try to use a club as a plaything almost, as a sense of power from owning a club and not treat it in the right way. So maybe someone may see what's happening at Wrexham and think, I want a bit of that. Could buy a National League team, for example, and try and do the same thing, but have just ill intentions and could drive it down to the ground if not run correctly, and this is a danger. I think it won't be long till another National League club is being bought out by ownership similar to Ryan Reynolds, or maybe even ownership from overseas in a different country. The potential of the money that they can make is massive, and I think people are aware of that now. And with a documentary, Welcome to Wrexham, that I've watched myself on Disney Plus because I have a daughter, don't blame me. The potential of Wrexham is incredible, and if I was a Wrexham fan, then how lucky must you feel right now? Good lord. And to show one stat of how important and how powerful the reach of Ryan Reynolds is to an American ownership is that their game against Sheffield United was ESPN's most followed football game across its digital platforms. ESPN's most followed football game. Not the Champions League final, not even the World Cup, okay? ESPN most followed football game was Sheffield United versus Wrexham. That is mental, and the potential of Wrexham cannot be underestimated. Tell me your thoughts down below. I've kind of waffled on for the last 10-15 minutes, but I think it's important to make this not really an informational statistical piece, and just kind of give my thoughts for the pros and cons of Wrexham being bought out. I get completely why people may not like them, because they think that they are doing things the wrong way and could actually be destroying other football clubs by basically buying their way out of the division and not doing things in a justified, rightful manner. I get that, but I think in football we've gone to a stage where football and money will always come together. There's maybe a slight bit of jealousy in there, and that the media attention that Wrexham gets could be really frustrating, but in reality they are that big now. They are that big to get all that attention. So to call them underdogs is not correct, so I wouldn't be calling them that, but there is definitely a great story there, and is one that I'll be following with a close eye. So tell me down below your thoughts. Smash a like button if you guys did enjoy. Let's try to hit 3,000 likes, and also subscribe if you're new. Thank you all so much for the support, and I'll see you guys next time. Stay safe.
Oh.
Refined equipment, even abhorring
Kenapa
the
Raven?
unstoppable on the field.
Bos. Mungkin hidup. Chance and you ROO.
Frontera, the political center of the Rune, is the home to the headquarters of both the Knights and the
weekly attempts of solo defensive battle have increased.
Oke. Oke. Udah jalan. Sekarang udah. Yang sendiri. Dortmund, Bochum, so. Wah, kali ini. Itu apa?
Marketing is an important part of any video game development cycle. It's how you let people know that your game exists and what to look forward to with your game. And I feel like Arcane, as much as I tend to enjoy their games, their marketing has always suffered. Their last title was Deathloop. I don't think the marketing for that game was particularly great. And now with their upcoming Redfall, I feel the same way. The first trailer that they showed off, I don't know, it was kind of hit or miss. Interesting concepts going on there, but they didn't show enough to really wow us. And then there was the whole situation where they confirmed that the game would be online only, but recently they did allow media to play the game, and those impressions fortunately have been more positive. Here is a basic summary from Okami Games. The bullet list includes things like strong single-player experience, Arcane's best gunplay yet, many comparisons to Far Cry, great level design that's very immersive, still has Arcane's DNA, working to remove always online requirement, a big plus, no in-game store or microtransactions, so on and so forth. For my part, I'm not fully sold on the game yet, but it has potential. The idea of essentially what is a cooperative hero shooter style gameplay, but with more of an open world single player experience a la Far Cry, where you get to hunt down vampires and combine powers to that end. It could be fun. I don't know, I have to get my hands on it. But what doesn't help is a recent gameplay that Arcane released through IGN First, which is this feature that IGN hosts where they get exclusive access to a game and promote it heavily. And Redfall happens to be the next big featured game for IGN First, except if you look at the likes to dislikes ratio, you'll see a whopping 5.7 thousand dislikes versus only 1.1 thousand likes. So what exactly went wrong? Well, what gameplay IGN showed here is pretty awful. When it comes to marketing, I think there is a spectrum of like, you can go too far and show gameplay that is really exaggerated and artificial looking, or that is just clearly fake, whose graphics and gameplay are spruced up and are it all good middle to the game. And this is not me trying to make fun of the person who's playing this game. It's just like if you're IGN and you get exclusive access to gameplay for a game and are going to show that game off, there's a certain responsibility that comes with that to show the game not necessarily in an artificially good light, but in a balanced way where you show gameplay that feels representative of what the majority of players who are playing the game proficiently will experience, so we can get a genuinely good idea for what this game will actually play like. It's frustrating when I want to get a genuine idea for the gameplay and then the gameplay shown is just something that looks a lot more underwhelming, not because the game itself is that underwhelming, but because the person playing the game just doesn't really seem to be doing the gameplay justice. And so I don't know, I wish they would have either re-recorded this gameplay video or just found ways to just make it closer, more representative to how more people will play this game. You'll see what I mean. But before we delve into the gameplay footage, you know what isn't painful and is in fact the complete opposite, offers relief? These earbuds right here, which for how affordable they are really files. The amount of running away that the player does. So right here, some shots hit. And then all the different cuts that happen throughout this footage. Yeah, this is... out here is where things start degrading. The player, for some reason, just runs away from the encounter. But alright, let's see where the player's headed next. Right here is an enemy. Gets shot, very low health, but the player doesn't finish him off, runs away, frantically running around the field. And it's just like hard to figure out what this game is from this footage, you know what I mean? And the marketing of a game should aim to give players a good idea for a game. And then, I mean, a lot of silly mistakes and then just more running away. Low health, I get it, but okay, heal up, and then I don't know where that went. It's just running around. Not doing a whole lot. And then a bunch of cuts. That makes this all more disorienting when it comes to trying to figure out what's going on. And then right here, a bunch of shots missed. And you can see right here that, oh man, yeah. The boss was at low health, sniper rifle in hand, cuts away. The boss is still alive, or I don't know if it's a boss, but the tougher enemy's still alive. Runs away again, doesn't just finish him off, throws more stuff kind of. Once again, just fails to finish the enemy off. I don't know, it oof. Yeah, that's, The finisher's cool, I guess. But it really, this really was a very disorienting, frustrating gameplay bit to watch. If you look at the, not just likes to dislikes ratio, but also the comment section, you'll see that this footage is getting torn apart. Gotta give IGN credit for making any game they play excruciating to watch. Honestly, the fact that IGN chose to show this gameplay perspective instead of anyone else's genuinely makes me wonder how they all compare to this guy. When you give your little brother a controller, there's no way this is the best footage of this game that they got. Here's somebody highlighting all of the mistakes that they saw. Why are you fighting a giant boss inside a cramped house? Why are you now running away from the boss and then shooting ads while your team gets killed? Why are you lock picking a door mid-combat instead of rezzing teammates? Why are you throwing your translocator and then not using it? Why are you sniping an enemy 3 feet in front of you? Why did you take the killing blow when you barely contributed anything? Others are frustrated at just the sheer number of cuts that were featured in this footage. This is a bad showcase. Stop skipping around. Show us the full fight. And look, I'm not saying that players aren't allowed to make mistakes. That's a part of genuine gameplay, but when your whole gameplay presentation is just a sequence of mistakes and you're constantly giving us weirdly placed cuts that doesn't allow us to get a full idea for what happened in this gameplay segment, then yeah, it is just not a good showcase. It just doesn't do the job that the video sets out to do. IGN being the biggest gaming news site, you know, when they put out gameplay, you know, it gets seen by a lot more people, and when that's what people see, it's probably gonna make them go, I don't know if this game is for me, which would be unfortunate if Redfall actually turns out to be a lot more fun than what that IGN gameplay. Alright, so look, I want to keep my hopes up that Redfall will be successful, that it'll be a fun game that I'll be absorbed by. I want to give it a chance, but the more marketing happens for this game, the harder it is for me to have faith that it will succeed because of the marketing decisions surrounding it and then recent news about the game that makes me feel like this game should be delayed further, and that the decision to release the game in a state where it doesn't have all of the most ideal features, like that indicates to me that this game is still not fully baked, and that knowingly they're deciding to release the game not fully baked. The PR surrounding this game just hasn't been good. Even from its announcement trailer, you can see right here, they showed off the CGI trailer that really didn't give us much information about the game other than some basic elements. And you can see right here that while the likes to dislikes ratio is more positive than negative, there was enough negative reaction that you can tell people were kind of skeptical about this. And then 2 months ago, Redfall faced some negative PR because it was stated in their FAQ with Bethesda's confirmation that Redfall would require an online connection even in single player. And this is a game that has been advertised to be able to be played in single player, and it just makes no sense for that to require an online connection, especially with the Far Cry-esque open world sandboxy kind of experience that they're going for with single player. Fortunately, they've said recently that they are working to remove that requirement, but we don't know if it's going to happen at launch or sometime later. And then after that, I talked about this IGN first gameplay that is really unfortunate. I feel like IGN didn't put out the best gameplay out there. There's a reason why this video now has over 22,000 dislikes versus just a mere 1.7 thousand likes. The game was played so improficiently that it was hard to get an idea for what was going on, for how the game will generally flow. It just feels like we didn't get a whole lot of valuable information out of this 3-minute gameplay footage that was more disorienting than anything. And that finally brings us to the latest news surrounding the game that has caused further controversy, that has generated more skepticisms and doubts surrounding this game's ability to launch in a good state. Redfall recently tweeted that it's launching on Xbox consoles with quality mode only. On Xbox Series X, it'll be 4K 30 FPS. On Xbox Series S, it'll be 1440p 30 FPS. The 60 FPS performance mode will be added via game update at a later date. We don't really get an idea for when exactly. They don't specify how much later after launch. All we know is sometime after the game comes out, much like how with the removal of the online connection requirement for single player, they've said that we're working on removing it, which is good, but we don't have an exact timetable. We don't know if that's going to be removed before launch or if we're going to have to wait a couple weeks, a couple months. And this just seems to be a trend for Redfall. This is the second time they've said we're going to improve this game, be it by adding a feature that it should have at launch or by removing something that is less than ideal at some point. And the lack of specificity on this front tells me that they do need to delay this game at this stage. They should release the game in the best state possible by removing the single player requirement and by having performance mode available at launch, and for that to happen, if they need to push the date back a little bit, they should do that. The performance mode in particular is a sticking point because this is a first-person shooter where twitch reaction, where reflexes and moment-to-moment combat, all of that is benefited by performance mode, by 60 FPS, by a smooth performance that just gives you a better reaction to what's going on screen, that allows you to have a more direct one-to-one connection with your character on screen. It just allows you to have a faster, smoother, more connected reaction time. That's really important for a game like this, where you don't want to miss your shots, where you want to feel the combat to be as smooth as possible so you can be at your peak performance. The fact that Redfall, of all games, is missing a performance mode is a huge detriment. This isn't some visual novel. This isn't some slow-paced game. There is a lot of chaos happening on screen. There's a lot of tactical shooting required, and for that,